An asteroid called Agatha 616 is heading straight for Earth, so all nations come together to shoot a bunch of rockets at it. The asteroid is effectively destroyed, but this causes chemical compounds to rain down on Earth, which mutates the animals into gigantic and violent monsters. In just a year, Earth loses 95% of its population, and the remaining survivors must hide in bunkers, caves, and panic rooms. 7 years later, Joel is still living in a bunker, where he's the only one without a romantic partner and has to listen to everyone getting naughty near him. Since he isn't good at fighting monsters, he doesn't join the group when they go to the surface to look for supplies. Instead, he helps by preparing dinner and doing handy work like milking their cow. He also keeps a diary and draws the monsters he's managed to see so far as a survival guide. The group ran out of bullets a few years ago, so nowadays they use weapons like axes and crossbows. One day while Joel is trying to practice shooting a crossbow, the power suddenly goes out in the bunker and they discover some monsters have breached their security. A few guys go into the tunnels to fight them while the others watch the progress on the screen of their sensor system. It seems the group is getting in trouble, so Joel goes out with a crossbow to help. As he wanders around the area, he bumps into a monster, who finishes eating one of his friends and then immediately comes for him, but Joel can't help freezing. The creature is about to kill him, but thankfully it gets killed first by Joel's friends. Then a flashback shows Joel before the apocalypse hanging out with his girlfriend Amy. After he made a funny portrait of her, they started to kiss, only to be interrupted by an alarm that warned them of the pieces of rockets and asteroid falling on Earth. They had no choice but to rush back to their families. Back in the present, Joel uses a radio to chat with other bunkers and keep in contact with Amy. Today he's telling her about the letters he wrote for her, but their connection suddenly is cut when Joel's radio breaks. This triggers another flashback, showing Joel saying goodbye to Amy and exchanging "I love yous" before each of them escaped with their families. In the present, Joel asks the others about Amy's colony and learns it's 85 miles from there. It would take 7 days to reach it, and it's impossible to survive out there for that long. Ignoring his friend's warnings, Joel decides to stop hiding and go looking for Amy. As he explores the outside, Joel finds lots of pieces from the old city spread in the area with plants and monsters covering every inch. After a few hours of walking, he hears a monster nearby, so he hides inside a house. However, when he opens the fridge, another monster roars at him, so he runs out into the garden. Unfortunately, a mutated frog comes out of the pond, attacking Joel with its long tongue. He dodges just in time and is shocked to fall next to a dog, who begins barking at the frog like a good brave boy. Joel tries to use the chance to escape, however the frog shoots its tongue again and captures his leg, making him fall. Then it starts dragging Joel into its mouth, but thankfully the dog bites the tongue and frees Joel. Afterward, Joel starts running away and follows the dog into a bus where the dog closes the door with a rope, showing he was trained. As the frog leaves the area looking for them, Joel looks around and realizes the dog used to hide here with his owner, who probably passed away. The dog's name is Boy and he keeps his owner's clothes close because he misses them. Joel spends the night on the bus, and in the morning, Boy decides to leave with him. He even brings some of his owner's clothing, and Joel puts it in his bag for safety. As they travel through destroyed cities and overgrown forests, Boy and Joel enjoy each other's company and sometimes even play, although Boy doesn't know how to catch. However, he does know how to stop Joel from eating poisonous berries. After wandering around for a while, Joel accidentally falls into a hole in the ground, and the bones under his feet indicate this is a monster nest. He can hear the creatures in the tunnels and dodges an attack just in time, but he isn't sure he will be able to fight. Thankfully, at that moment, a rope falls into the hole, courtesy of Clyde and Minnow. They pull him out of the hole at the same time all the worms come out, and when a monster jumps out of the hole, they kill it with a katana. Then they throw a grenade in a hole to finish the rest of them. Afterward, the four of them start traveling together. Minnow teaches Joel how to shoot the crossbow and she and Clyde give him lessons on survival. They also share they're heading to the mountains where it's too cold for monsters to live. Suddenly their trip is interrupted when they're approached by a giant snail monster, so Clyde takes Joel's shirt and hides it in its shell. This snail is very peaceful and while it continues on its journey, it'll carry Joel's scent, hopefully making the monsters follow it instead of them. Clyde and Minnow tell Joel he can know if a monster is nice or not through its eyes. When they stop for the night, Clyde shares a few details about the monsters so Joel can add them to his journal. For the next few days, the group keeps traveling together and Joel finally gets good with the crossbow. He also keeps learning lots of things about the monsters and survival, adding it all to his journal. Eventually they reach the point where they must split to go to their different destinations, and Clyde says goodbye by gifting Joel a grenade. Joel and Boy continue traveling together and later they reach a swamp that Boy refuses to cross. As Boy runs to hide under a duck-shaped playground piece, Joel hears a noise and suddenly a huge centipede monster rises from the ground. Joel gets his crossbow ready, only for the centipede to push him off. Then the monster starts surrounding the duck with Boy still inside, which makes Joel remember the day of the tragedy. The family car crashed and his parents were stuck, so they told Joel to run away. Joel got out of the car and had to watch a monster kill his parents before some survivors dragged him into the back of a truck to escape. At that moment the monster moves the duck and finds Boy, but Joel refuses to keep losing loved ones and finally shoots the crossbow, killing the centipede with an arrow to the head. Sometime later, it starts to rain, so Joel and Boy seek shelter in an abandoned building. There they find a robot called Mavis, who only has 51 minutes of power left and uses her GPS to show Joel he's only 10 miles away from Amy's colony. Robots were a very recent thing before the monster attack happened, so Joel never got to talk to one until now. Mavis uses her radio to help Joel get in touch with Amy, who is doing well. She explains some survivors have shown up and will rescue the entire colony, but before she can say more, the communication ends because Mavis' battery is about to die. With her last minutes of energy, Mavis accesses her social media database and shows Joel some pictures and videos of his family. Crying, Joel hugs Mavis and together they watch the glowing jellyfish flying by. When Mavis finally shuts down, a grateful Joel gives her a proper burial. The next day, Joel and Boy keep going and almost fall into a huge pit. Boy runs away as Joel sees a queen sand gobbler appearing underground. He throws a toy to distract it and starts running with Boy, only for the queen to chase after them. After lots of running through the woods, Joel trips on a stick and falls down a hill near a river, causing the clothing of Boy's owner to fall in the water. Joel rushes to hide with Boy behind a hollow trunk and the queen comes incredibly close, but they wait in silence until it goes away. At that moment Boy sees the clothing in the water and jumps in to retrieve it, which gets the attention of the monster. As it rushes toward them, Joel runs to his bag and grabs the grenade, throwing it into the queen's mouth before jumping into the water too. The monster explodes and nobody gets hurt. Afterward, Joel reaches the shore, only to discover his body is covered with leeches. He pulls them all off before he starts yelling at Boy, blaming him for the queen's attack and causing him to run away. Joel tries to keep going alone, but soon the leech's poison starts making him hallucinate all kinds of crazy things. He sees a plant that Clyde taught him was an anti-venom and eats it before he starts seeing a bunch of people approaching. It turns out it isn't the hallucination, it's Amy and her fellow survivors, who were brought by Boy. Excited, Joel kisses Amy before passing out. Sometime later, Joel wakes up in Amy's bunker. He's already feeling better, but he also learns that he actually kissed a random survivor instead of Amy. She explains her colony was found by a yacht captain and his crew who have promised to take the survivors to a safer place. Everyone is busy packing up and getting ready to go, so Amy can't spend too much time with him. Then Joel takes a look around the bunker, learning about this colony's habits and seeing they're right next to a beach. He also meets the people from the yacht, Dana, Rocco, and the captain Brooks. Later when Joel finally gets a private moment with Amy, he's devastated to hear she moved on some time ago because she thought she would never see Joel again. Amy started to date another survivor, who sadly died last year. Afterward Joel tries to contact his colony to no avail. When he looks at the map they gave him, he's shocked to find support messages that he didn't see before, and he realizes he left a beloved family for nothing. At that moment the radio finally contacts his colony, and everyone is proud of Joel for surviving. They also share that there have been multiple breaches, but before they can say more, the communication ends. Joel decides he must go back to his family and ignore the yacht idea. On his way out, he discovers that the plate of food they gave him has poisonous berries in it, meaning the crew is hiding something. He immediately runs to warn Amy, who is getting drunk with the other survivors thanks to Brooks' homemade beer. Before Joel can say something, Dana knocks him out. The next morning, Joel wakes up to discover he's been tied up to a barrel with Amy, and all the survivors were captured while they were drunk. After Dana blows up the radio tower, Brooks reveals that he and his crew go around robbing the supplies from different colonies and they move the yacht by making a monster crab pull it. Brooks controls this monster through electric manipulation. At that moment the crab comes out and everyone runs to hide, so Amy takes the lid from the barrel and uses it to free herself and Joel. Then she runs toward Rocco, who opens fire on her. She stops the bullets with the lid to then tackle him, causing them both to fall unconscious. Meanwhile Joel finds a trident and runs to stab the crab, causing it to trip and fall on its back. However, it's still alive and an electric pulse from Brooks causes it to knock Joel down. At that moment Amy recovers and starts fighting Dana, landing a few hits but unfortunately still getting overpowered because Dana has more experience. Soon the crab also recovers and starts destroying the colony. Boy comes out to bark at the monster and Dana tries to shoot him, but Amy hits her arm and makes her hit the crab instead. Using the element of surprise, Amy manages to overpower Dana, so Brooks cuts in and knocks her down before ordering his crew to get to the boat. As the crab continues its destructing ways, Boy dodges its attacks and reaches Amy, licking her face to wake her up. Brooks keeps on electrocuting the crab to make it angrier, and the monster roars at Joel, who looks at its mouth and finds its weak spot before getting captured. Amy soon comes over with the weapon Dana dropped and hands it to Joel, who is about to kill the crab only to look into its eyes and discover it's actually a kind creature being controlled by an actual monster. Joel shoots the chain instead and frees the crab, who immediately releases Joel and jumps into the water. In just a few seconds, it reaches the yacht and eats Dana, Rocco, and Brooks, destroying the yacht in the process. Moments later, once everyone is safe, Joel says goodbye to Amy by sharing a hug and gifting her his journal so she can also learn about the monsters. Even if they didn't get together, he's grateful for the trip because it made him a better man. Before he leaves, they share one last kiss. For the next 7 days, Joel and Boy travel together and survive thanks to all their new experience. Eventually they make it to Joel's colony, where they're welcomed with open arms. Afterward, Joel sends a message through the radio to all the other bunkers, teaching them how to survive out there and inviting them to go to the mountains where the cold will keep monsters away. Then Joel, Boy, and his fellow survivors leave together to reunite with Clyde and Minnow, and soon other colonies are doing the same, eager to start a new life.